It's been 5 years, and in that 5 years, the royal family has gone from strength to strength. When Harry was an active working member of the royal family, he brought a lot of fun and very, very sparkle to the royal family. I'd love Harry to come back. I must be honest, I do miss him. I think people generally loved him. At one stage, he was the most popular member of the royal family. He could do no wrong. Whatever he did wrong, people forgave him because that was who he was. He was just a really nice, open, giving person. I miss the kindness of Harry as well. When children the last job I did with him was at a school in Luton, a girls' school in Luton, and they absolutely were hugging him at the end as he was leaving. They were hugging him. He was so hugely popular. I'll miss that. I do miss that. I miss that more than anything. He was just a joy to go with. And wherever you went with him in the world, he brought fun and laughter to children, and it was great. I remember doing television interviews saying I thought how great she was. That first year, everything she did was brilliant. We went to Scotland, Ireland, Wales, all over Britain, Morocco. She was just sensational. 5 years gone now since Harry and Meghan fled this country. Harry I do miss greatly because I loved working with him. I loved going overseas with him. I loved when he was with children. I loved everything he did, whether he was in a Barbados hospital with a sick child or playing touch rugby with kids on Copacabana Beach in Brazil, or dancing with kids with his blue suede shoes on in Jamaica. He was fun. Where he tried to outrun Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, he was fun. And he did it. And he used to say at the end of the trip, we'd all go to the pub and he'd say, I'll do my very best for you photographers, give you great pictures. And now, he's just solemn. The Harry that I knew and loved just seems to have disappeared. But you know what? I feel that if he felt sorry enough for the things he's done, I'm sure the king, his father, who loves him dearly still, would forgive him, and he'd be able to let him come back. But I'm not so sure about how William would feel about it. Harry and William were so close. I photographed them skiing together when they were learning to ski, when they were kids, when they were tiny kids. I saw them as they went to school together, how they learned to fly aircraft together when they was training in the Royal Air Force. Everything they did together. He was his best man at his wedding, and Harry was best man at William's wedding, and William was best man at Harry's wedding. That's how close they were. They were brothers in arms. I believe in forgiveness. I think, if someone's truly repentant, forgiveness is something we all should be capable of doing. Some people it's impossible. But anything's possible, everybody can say sorry and mean it, and by their actions show they mean it. You know what? I think he must miss his brother, the fun they had, the joshing, the fighting, the Mickey taking. They were always taking the Mickey out of each other, and they laughed a lot together. I think in his heart, he must miss that. He must miss the wise words of his father, who just always guided him and protected him, and of Camilla, who always showed great love towards him. And now everybody feels a bit hostile to him. But you know what? When a man, I've got two sons and I love them dearly, and I know you don't stop loving your children. Whatever they do, you don't stop loving them. And I think Charles still loves his son, and I think he maybe like to have him back here. We'll see. But it's been 5 years, and in that 5 years, the royal family has gone from strength to strength. We lost our lovely queen. We got a wonderful king who's just put his back into it in such a long, hard slog. I just recently went to Australia with the king and the queen, and the crowds there were huge for him, and he just was so pleased to see them. But because he's got limited energy now, he couldn't say hello to all of them. The crowds were sometimes like 500 yards long, and he would be able to see maybe 50 yards, and he'd have to quit because it was probably too tiring for him. But he did it. He went there and he did it, and he gave it his best shot. And you think that he could be sitting at home now with blanket around his knees watching television, but he's not interested. He's got this, feels this duty to make sure that his legacy is important. It's important not only to him, but to the fact, the long, long life of this royal family, which has been going since William the Conqueror, and following a great great monarch like our last Queen, Elizabeth, who was just unbelievably brilliant for 70 years. He's been unbelievably brilliant since, I think, what is it? It's been 3 years now. How long is it now since she's been dead, the Queen? 22, wasn't it? Nearly 5 years, nearly 3 years. He's been outstanding. The crowds have been huge for him. The love being shown to him is tremendous. And he just seems to be doing everything the right way, and gets a little bit of criticism. I think he's built a solo farm at Sandringham, but he's been doing those sort of things all his life. He's been trying to eliminate fossil fuels and to sort of save the planet. And he's not been talking about it for the last 10 minutes, the last 10 years, but the last 30 years or 40 years. I've been with him to every rainforest in the world where he's absolutely pleaded with presidents and monarchs to stop ripping up the rainforests, the lungs of the world, not for me, but for my children and my grandchildren. He often said that. And so, you know, building a solar farm, a solar panel farm to me, it just seems a sensible thing to do if you've got a lot of land, and why not? And so, you know, he doesn't, our king doesn't ever respond to criticism. He says, let history judge me. And when history does judge him, you'll find that he followed a great monarch, but he did it with great style, incredible dignity, and extremely hard work. And he's got his son William and Catherine supporting him, and his brother Edward and Sophie, and his sister Anne, who just tirelessly beavers away doing great things. And so the royal family's in very good shape, and in spite of Harry leaving. But it was when Harry was an active working member of the royal family, he brought a lot of fun and very great sparkle to the royal family. He with children, he became a child, and he just worked magic with children. And I'll miss those days. I'll miss those fun days when in the hospital, a little boy with a broken arm, he wouldn't leave until he made him smile. I remember in Lesotho with those children who'd lost their parents to HIV, building a school for the kids, you know, and ask him why he did it. It's the most important work I do. Well, not for me, but for young people, young children. And I miss Harry for doing that. I miss Harry for just making a joke out of everything. I mean, he once put a palm full of purple paint in New Zealand, plonked it on top of my head, and laughingly did it, I must say. And he said, that's for, you know, and I said, what did you do that for, Harry? And he said, well, you told everybody on television this morning I was going bald, which I did, so I probably deserved that.